Hola or hello. Please listen carefully to the following disclaimer.
The following content discusses allegations of SA and R-word in a BSM-KINK context. The information presented is based on publicly available sources, statements from involved parties, and/or my own reporting. The allegations discussed in this video are just that, allegations. No one named or referenced has been convicted of any crime related to the matters discussed. A criminal investigation was reportedly pursued, but no charges have been filed or legal conclusions reached at this time. This content is intended for informational and commentary purposes only and does not constitute legal conclusions or accusations. All individuals are presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. If you are affected by any of the issues raised in this video, please seek help or support from appropriate resources.
Viewer discretion is advised. This is also a trigger warning.
What happens when something happens in a community, right? How do we hold each other accountable? Trigger warning, trigger warning, trigger warning. Welcome to the Violet Flame Outcast with me, your favorite thought-provoking alien, Leila Marie Palacios. We will be discussing sensitive topics. I know I already put disclaimers at the beginning, like trigger warnings, but I also want to include this disclaimer. I am not an R-word apologist, I am not an SA apologist, I am an SA or R-word survivor myself, because I do want to be upfront. There are some allegations against the space where this interview took place. Okay? I respect everybody involved. It's unfortunate, right? And a lot of the people that I reached out to are like, look, like there's a lot of sides to every story, da da da. I mean, a lot of people, it's just 10 people and like only a few responded, but I digress. I mean, I was gonna say, don't come at me with like, Leila's an R-word apologist and, she's painting Rev Master Kane in a positive light. Look, I am just sharing my experience with that guy, And my experience with that guy, Rev Master Kane, he was always very respectful towards me, right? Caballeroso. I always had a good experience. Mind you, I didn't really interact with him that much, but that was just my experience, right? And one of the video testimonials that you will also see at the very end of the interview and this podcast, they also say the same thing, that their experiences with Rev Master Kane were nothing but positive, okay? I want to acknowledge all sides to the story though, right? I really don't know the details of anything, to be honest. And similar to Lex Fridman, I like to think of myself as somebody who would talk to anybody, right? Give anybody the time of day.
I will talk with everyone, the good, the bad, and the ugly, the brilliance and the flaws. My goal is to understand human beings at their best and at their worst. I won't whitewash their sins, but I won't reduce them to a worst possible caricature of their sins either. I will try to do better than that, in service of the truth. And I hope to have the courage to always think independently.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Lex Fridman, y'all. So please take care of yourself. If the topics of nature for today are triggering for you, skip this episode or use the timestamps below so you can skip through the things you want to listen to or can withstand to listen to or watch. Thank you for being here. The interview you are about to see was filmed inside of Dungeon Hell Paso. I am from El Paso, Texas, and I was very surprised and pleased to find that there was a community there, and Rev Master Kane was kind enough to lend me a little bit of his time and space to do the podcast interview. I don't know if the allegations were directly towards Rev Master Kane or if the allegations were towards other people that were involved in the community. I personally reached out to 10 people, okay? Out of those 10 people, 2 left me on red via text message. 1 was an email correspondence that I will be discussing with you today before we get into the interview with Rev Master Kane. And 3 were unknowns, meaning that I texted them and I don't know, like there's no way of knowing if they received my message or not. Mind you, I met these people 2023, so it's been a while, you know what I mean? I wanted to start by contacting the person that posted the screenshots, the person that made this public, right? They said, Look, well, to be transparent, this is what I said. I said, hello, I am sorry if asking brings any unwanted memories. My name is Layla and I am editing an interview I filmed with MK Master Kane in 2023 inside the dungeon that is now closed. I write to ask if there are updates to the criminal investigation that was pending, and I use those words because that's the verbiage that she used on Instagram. And then I said part of the reason I wanted to interview MK was to address allegations I had screenshots of, and this was before you shared your post, but I wasn't able to find the screenshots I had in time for the interview back then when we were filming. I didn't have them. In the interview, he briefly addressed how he's protective of the community and encourages people to come at him if so. And I know people can like connect dots because, you know, it's a small world, or do with your imagination what you will. So they responded, hi, my friend. No, the opposite. Thank you for reaching out. I am sure I don't have to verse you on the luck of R-word victims in SA cases. For the record, I was not going to report. I had zero interest in going to the police and much less making a public announcement because I was always well aware of this. This was until I spoke to other victims, several, that went through disturbingly similar experiences. I lost everything after making this statement. My community, my husband, my friends, sister, my dom, among other things. Nothing came out of my police report. The last I heard, they were waiting to hear back from MK Master Kane for an interview whose address has of course changed and will not answer calls. Even with 3 witnesses, timestamps, and character witnesses, I was not able to establish a case solid enough for the police. But I will be honest with you, I had to stop checking in on the case because it became the center of my focus of my life and was wrecking me psychologically and emotionally. I also have questionable screenshots from one of his partners. I wanted to start off with that one. And even though this is not my story to tell, I want to commend you for at least trying to come forward and build a case, because a lot of us R-word or SA survivors do not come forward. I didn't come forward because I thought I wasn't going to be believed. This is my message to anybody that has gone through SA or R-word. Report, 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 especially if it happens to you and you wake up and it's the morning after and you still have evidence on you. Go get that R-word kit. I wish I got an R-word kit before I went home that morning after. Right? And it's so weird to think about my experience because I was drugged and R-worded at a HE.SHE.THEY event when I went to go see one of my favorite DJs, MAGDA. And I have a video of the person who took advantage of me taking her home while I'm drugged in the back seat. And he's just brushing me off like, oh yeah, whatever. But how does that happen? How does the person that R-worded and essayed me take the DJ that I am a fan of home? How does that happen? This is a topic for another video, but not congrats. Kudos to you for having the courage to come forward and trying to build a case. And I'm sorry that you lost everything, it seems. All in all, I'm sorry if anybody experienced harm at the hands of MK or at DHP. It's very easy to take advantage of power play dynamics if you have predatory intentions and you disguise yourself or disguise your shitty intentions behind the guise of kink and BDSM ethics, right? Because if you're like me back in 2021 and you were bushy-tailed, wide-eyed, all excited and enthusiastic about kink and BDSM and the healing potential that it holds, that's the perfect victim, right? I was the perfect victim. A psychedelically loner stoner inclined person, newly into kink, enthusiastically so. And I was alone at that event. So it was easy for HYPNOTHERAPY, which is the name, to take advantage of me. Mine anyway. Ew. And I want to pay attention to the language that you're using because I catch myself saying my R-wordist. Don't say my R-wordist, right? Say the person who R-worded me or the person who essayed me, not my R-wordist. It just feels weird to take ownership that is my abuser, right? Because that's another word that I hear myself use a lot. My abuser. I don't want to say my abuser. The fucker who took advantage of me sounds a little bit more apt. What the heck is the topic of discussion for today? Let's define these terms because sometimes they're often used interchangeably, right? And sometimes we don't know what the difference is. So let's see what Google first says what the difference is between kink and BDSM. Yes, that is the topic of discussion for today. And when you Google, can the words kink and BDSM be used interchangeably? You get this. No. The terms kink and BDSM cannot be used interchangeably. There is overlap though. In short, BDSM is a specific category of kink, but not all kinks are BDSM. One can have a kink without engaging in BDSM activities. For example, a foot fetish or engaging in role play without involving power exchange could be considered kinks, but not necessarily BDSM. BDSM, however, specifically involves the elements of bondage, discipline, dominance, submission, sadism, masochism, and always includes a power dynamic. I also wanted to provide you the definition that Tristan Taormino. They use the words interchangeably, unlike the Google response. So Tristan says, I use kink as a catch-all term that includes BDSM, sadomasochism, kinky sex, dominance, and submission, roleplay, sex games, fantasy, and fetish. But beyond definitions, what is kink really, and why do people do it? People do kink for as many reasons as people have sex: to give, to take, to connect, to discover, to trust, to experiment, to imagine, to learn, and to grow. Kink is an intimate experience, an exchange of power between people that can be physical, erotic, sexual, psychological, spiritual, or most often some combination. People who practice kink explore the territory between pleasure and pain, eroticize the exchange of power, experience intense physical sensations and psychological scenarios, and test and push their limits. Kink can be a sacred space where we can feel safe enough to try new things, push our boundaries, and flirt with edges and conquer fears. Members of the BDSM or kink communities emphasize consent above all else. Everyone is on board with what is going on, and nothing happens against anyone's will. They value trust, communication, and safety, and often make use of a safe word, a word that either partner can use to bring everything to a stop. There's a lot of parallels between the psychedelic space and the kink space, right? Parallels, right? I am the point where all these different topics intersect, right? What happens when ethics are violated in psychedelic spaces? Do we hold each other accountable, right? The only one at large that I can think of that has been reported on and kind of shunned, I noticed, was the Aharon and Francis Francoise allegations, right? Cover story on Spotify is where I listened to it, covered it. And I was also at MYCELiA, I think they called it an UnConference. In one of those spaces, they were having a talk, and it was publicly stated, you know, that there's people in this room, right, in the room at the MYCELiA UnConference that violated ethical boundaries, you know what I mean? So how do we hold each other accountable? That was a perfect moment where we could have held space, right, and held each other accountable. So this is a bigger conversation, but how do we hold each other accountable? Boundaries. He talks about all of that in the interview. So please enjoy this conversation with Rev Master Kane, right? This is kind of the first rendition of AOC with LMP, me, an open conversation with Leila Marie Palacios, your favorite thought-provoking alien. Welcome to the Violet Flame Outcast. I already said that. So before we get into the video, I do want to read the screenshots briefly. This other correspondence was through Instagram, and I'm looking at my laptop here, and someone reached out and said, drop it and stop while you're ahead. Real talk. I said, thanks for the feedback. Sweet week to thee. And then they said, MK is a two-faced C word. I'm paraphrasing. They said they got the fuck out, you know? Before shit got worse, I guess, I don't know. But then I said, sorry to hear, hope you got out before any harm was experienced. Let me know if you want to share anything else. And then they said, careful what you dig into, Lois Lane. I don't know who Lois Lane is, but I had a feeling that it was like a Marvel DC comic type of thing. And I Googled it. She's a reporter that got stabbed for digging too close to the truth. I think another character revived her immediately after that, but I told them that I heed thy warning, you know, but I thought that was kind of like, wow, careful what you dig into, Lois Lane. I'm like, ooh, you know. And that didn't come off as a threat. It really came off as a legitimate warning, because what happens to people that dig way too close to the truth? There's an amazing YouTube channel that is already reporting on all of the inconsistencies that are surrounding some prominent figures' death. Some of them were working to uncover suppressed or sensitive truths before their untimely death. So check out his work. It's really good. But I mean, I take that warning serious, right? Because shit gets real out here. So thanks for looking out. And for the record, I love my life. May you love yours too. This other correspondence I want to share with y'all happened via email. I don't have what I originally sent out to them, but they replied to me and they said, "Hi there, Layla. I'd be happy to talk if my name remains out of the video, though I'd love the link after it's posted." And they emailed me back their statement. Their testimony reads as follows. "I know that the closure really divided the community in general. A bunch of people all decided that they wanted to be in charge of their own community, and that quickly devolved when they realized how much work actually goes into running a community. The closure created a divide between the people who believed the false accusations and those that didn't. As time has passed and more information has come out, more people are realizing that the accusations were dramatized and are very discontent with the closing since Dungeon Hell Paso, which was pretty much the main location in El Paso for events and education. There is one person who used to be a part of the dungeon that has attempted to start her own dungeon. Unfortunately, she is one of those people who are manipulative and cold-hearted. I watched her for years pick up and throw people away as they were no longer of use to her. I want to say narcissistic, but I don't know of a diagnosis, so I can't say that one for sure. But she is definitely extremely fake. Listening to her berate people and talk about how much she could not stand them, then turn around and tell them to their face how excited she was to see them each time, it definitely rubs me the wrong way, so I refuse to have anything to do with her. There is one group that has started up over in Anthony, though. Borderland Bondage. They only do rope, but the couple that runs it is extremely passionate and really knows what they're doing. So, if people are interested in bondage, I highly recommend them. Though, thank you very much for your testimonial, because I was doing research, and in my research, I saw this on Reddit. And I was like, what's going on, you know? So that's why she included that part in her response to me. And that is so unfortunate, having to have witnessed the two-facery and the fakeness of it all. That is something that turned me off about the psychedelic community too, when I was, again, bushy-eyed, white-tail, right? I had this person be one way towards me behind closed doors when it was just me and that person. But then when they see me in public, hi! And it's like, what the fuck? Get away from me. You're not going to be fake in front of everyone. Pretend like you were the soul sister that you masqueraded yourself and approached me as? Hell no. That's baffling to me. And I also would not want anything with any fakery. Why do people get bothered by confidence or the expression of confidence? And because confidence rattles people so much, sometimes they cannot stand seeing somebody else in the spotlight, right? I need to be the only one in the spotlight, right? So it really depends who is viewing you or who is giving the opinion about you, right? Kind of like that song from I Set My Friends on Fire called Things That Rhyme with Orange. There's a line that says, "What is that paintbrush for? Are you preparing to draw me? No, wait, please don't. I am scared of what I'll see," right? So people are going to illustrate you and paint you with colors that you were probably not even born with, or that don't even really coincide with you, but they're viewing you through their lens, right? And no, I'm not saying that these allegations are false because this person is viewing it through their lens. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying that confidence rattles people so much. Confidence does not have to be a reminder of everything that you're not. It really doesn't. Because there's somebody that might celebrate everything that you inspire within them, your confidence, but maybe there's another person that doesn't celebrate everything that you inspire within them, right? Maybe they get rattled and their feelings of lack get triggered and they start picking apart things like, oh, it's pretty privilege, or like trying to tear down or bring down that confidence, right? But sometimes when those feelings are activated, sometimes you will get accused as being a cult leader, or in the psychedelic community, you get accused of being a spiritual narcissist, right? I can't believe people can't stand to see other people shine. What the fuck? There's room for everybody, really. Confidence shall inspire you. There is room for all of us to soar. It's not a competition, and that's where people get lost. Roll the clip.
We cause ripple effects within each other, and people confuse that with competition. It's a confusion. It's a con, you guys. It's a con. And don't fuse with it. That's the problem. It's unity. I'm a raver girl from my teens. Plurred life. Peace, love, unity, and respect me how I respect you, brother, sister, Balian, creature of our world that we are together in. Wake the up!
So mystery person, I'm so sorry that you witnessed and experienced that, because I know that it sucks, to witness fakery and stuff like that. So miss me with that. Moving on to a different testimony from somebody in the community. It says, "Thank you for including me in this. I left several months before the official announcement of the closure of Dungeon Hell Paso, so I'm not entirely sure what led to it shutting down. That said, I can definitely speak to the ripple effects I've seen and felt in the community. For many, the dungeon was not just a play space, it was a sanctuary. It was a place where I could explore, connect, and feed parts of myself. I'm sure there may be others who felt the same. Since its closure, I've seen the community reorganized into smaller pockets, constellations of trust and connection, keeping that sense of belonging alive. People are still finding their footing, some exploring new ways to gather. What's most powerful, though, is seeing folks adapt and continue to seek each other out. The spirit of the community didn't end with the dungeon closing. It's still evolving, and that's something worth holding on to." Even though I wasn't part of the community, I kind of dipped my toe a little bit, and my experience was also pretty positive. So this is a bummer that something so drastic or dire happened that led to the closure and the splitting of, the community. That's a bummer. So that's that one. Back when the dungeon closed, I asked somebody from the community, do you know anything about this? What's going on, right? Back then, this is what they said. "It pains me to see, but considering the events that happened, I'm, for a lack of better words, relieved. It could happen again, though it has happened more than once. And given what's happened, it nearly happened to me about a month and a half ago. The trauma that comes with it hurts." And when they were submitting their testimony to me, I was looking at it, and it contradicted this message that they initially had sent. So I asked them, I'm like, this is what I said. So I told them that in their testimony, I agree my experience was all good with MK, Master Kane as well. And I also asked them, can you clarify what you meant here though? You mentioned it nearly happened to you and the trauma that comes with it still hurts. What or who were you referring to? Let me know if you're not comfortable disclosing. And they said, oh, nothing happened to me personally. I just believe it really hurt that it closed due to unforeseen circumstances. That contradicted itself too, right? So I don't know, there's a lot of he said, she said, right? What's that song by Limp Bizkit, I think? Da-da-da-da, he said, she said. And even though there's a lot of he said, she said in this coverage, I think it's very important to point out that contradiction, right? Because we're talking about power play dynamics here and the grand potential for abuse that predatory masters or doms can take advantage of whenever they see a newcomer. You know what I mean? So that happens out there. And I am not saying that this is what happened to this person, this testimonial, but I was just noticing those two contradictions. And a lot of us are very vulnerable when we just arrive into this space. Be careful out there. Please exercise your discernment. And to help you with your discernment, I want to share Healing Through Kink by Pineapple Support. Pineapple Support is a mental health service for people that are affiliated with the adult industry. They put together that workshop in 2021 of April, I believe. And let me read you their little description of what a healthy dynamic looks like within healing and kink, not an abusive power play dynamic. So it says, regardless of someone's trauma, which may look exactly like their kink or not at all, kink provides a container for a somatic and relational experience that can rewrite our narratives. For survivors of SA, profound reclamation can be found through the negotiation, execution, and aftercare of a scene, a play scene. By playing in a controlled environment where the sub dictates what happens, we can rewrite traumatic moments from the past in a way that they are in charge of. Not only are we healing in the moment, in the here and now, but portals are opened to heal past selves and repair places where traumatic energy may remain stuck in the body. Like, can you imagine the healing can take place in such a safe container like that? And that takes a lot of time to build, right? Because I think MK talks about that in the interview too, that people want results now, or they want that result, fast. But the reality of the situation is that relationships take time to build that trust and fortify those ethical boundaries that are in place and honor them, getting to know each other, what pushes your buttons and stuff like that. So just be careful out there. Please practice discernment. Please be careful. And like I said, I am not saying this is what happened to this person, but I'm just saying, I just hope that this isn't like a brainwashing scenario, okay? Be safe out there. Because sometimes they're going to try to host events under a different name. I thought it was curious and interesting to notice that when I saw that the DHP closed around July 2nd, 2024, and then I noticed on my research, really it was just a basic Google search, like the first thing that came up when I typed in DHP El Paso, right? This came up. So I noticed that it said there was an event hosted July 12th. But if there was already announcing of the closure since July 2nd, but then they're hosting events, I mean, not there because it's not DHP affiliated, but maybe because the email says,
Okay, has landed.
And this is all public. Like I said, it was a basic Google search. So please practice discernment because sometimes under a new name, Garulf is also Master Kane. I just wanted to make that clear. Not that he's doing anything shady or anything like that. I have no idea. I'm just reporting on interesting things that stood out to me. To support your reasoning for practicing discernment, please be safe out there. And yes, the white face is on purpose, okay? We're alien sex fiend fans here. Anybody know who Nick Fiend is or Mrs. Fiend? Anyways. Thank you for your time. Please like and subscribe and share. If you don't have the time to watch me, just let it play in the background. Just help me out, okay? Help me out here. As far as reading screenshots, that's all I think I'm going to report on. Yeah, so please enjoy this interview with Rev Master Kane. As far as the audio goes, I'm really sorry about the transition. The volume is going to go up every time there's a transition. And if you're wearing any headphones or if you're trying to be quiet watching this, just be mindful. So I'm really sorry about that and thank you for understanding.
Viewer discretion is advised. This is also a trigger warning.
I saw that. There's a sign that says I saw that.
I saw that. God. We just got that one. I was like, all right.
Are you a Switch, Master Kane?
I am not.
You're not a
I
Switch.
am not a switch.
I think the name implies.
Yeah, I got my name because I was when I first when I first came into the community. Yeah, I was enthralled with the bamboo cane and the wonderful marks of leaves. It became my tool of choice, my implement of choice, and I would carry one. As an archer, I would even use an arrow as my cane, and I constantly carry that and use it through my sessions in multiple ways. So at first it was a joke. Oh, here comes the cane guy. Here comes the cane dude. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to embrace that. And so I did, but I spelled it with a K.
Right. Master Kane.
Hi, how you doing?
Hello, I'm doing all right.
Good.
Rev Master Kane. He created the space.
Dungeon Hell Paso.
Dungeon Hell Paso.
And I won't take the full credit for creating this space. The community came together to be able to create this space.
How did said community come to be in the first place?
Oh, wow. All of this was an accident, to be honest. None of this was ever in my intention at all. I never grew up thinking, oh, I'm going to open up a dungeon. That's my thing.
Yeah.
It just was never in my sights. Back in 2013, I was working for corporate America, and they decided that they needed to slim down their books, and they let 250 of us go nationally. Of course, I was one of them. And so I decided, instead of looking for another job within corporate, to just jump out and do my own thing. And so I opened up my own studio. Along with that studio, part of, I created a photography studio that was Netgum Pinup and Boudoir photography. And that's kind of where it all came together.
Was it always like kink photography or
No.
fetish photography?
No. It was pinup. Okay, so pinup art. I'm a huge Gil Elgren fan, so I've always loved his eye, his ability to be able to tell a story with just one frame, his painting. It was just so simple, but it was powerful what he was trying to convey, and it was sensual, and it was fun, and it was happy, and the colors were vibrant. I wanted to do what he was doing, but in photography. But of course, I also knew that not a whole lot of people have a huge interest in pinup art. So I bumped it up with the boudoir side. And boudoir is very artistic, like lingerie, or artistic nudes, that kind of thing, mostly implied. It's really very artistic. When I did that, I had a backlash from the community here, both from the photography and the model community.
Risque?
It was too much. It was they thought I was doing. Various, when I had my actual launch party, Various came out to it and had one photographer who was one of the pillars of the photography community, and straight out told me that I was going to fail, that this was not going to fly here, this is not going to pass a thing. And I was like, watch me. And mom. But having come in from Houston and having seen that it worked over there, and that there was a need for women to be have a space where they can feel safe and gain some empowerment through photography, to see their natural beauty, not models. I'm talking about the everyday household wife, the career woman, the military wife. Not the perfect. It was, let me show you your own natural beauty, and so that you can see the woman that you really are. And
it almost makes me emotional. I mean,
I'm very passionate about it. I had a very strong female. My mom was my hero, and family leader, and always top notch in her career and whatnot. So I saw her power and loved it and fell in love with that. And I wanted every woman to have that. I raised my 4 daughters the same way. You're going to be an independent woman. you're not going to be reliant on anyone unless you choose to. This is your choice. And so I wanted to be able to share that with the boudoir photography. But again, you know, don't never fail. So, watch me. And I launched. Technically, I opened up my studio September of 2013.
13, that was the pinup studio, and then that grew into the boudoir.
No. I built everything together. It was my commercial production facility, and within that was also the neck meal pinup and boudoir. So I launched everything all at once.
Wow.
A lot of the military community found me, and they were the ones that were like, hey, I want to send something to my husband. Got deployed. So okay. So I want to remind him what he's missing here, so that when he comes home, he's excited. I was like, okay, let's do that. My very first client came in, and she came in with a book, and she's like, I want to do boudoir, but I want to do some of the stuff that's in this book. I'm like, okay, what's this book? Well, can I read you a few things? I'm like, sure. All right. And so she started reading off of that book, and it was like, oh, okay. That's a little different than boudoir. It's a little bit more risque. Mind you, my very first client. Okay, and so I was like, you know what? I can easily do that. It's not a problem. That book was 50 Shades of Grey. It was right before it blew up. It was like 2 months before it actually went mainstream. It just happened so fast, and how quickly that book took off. Even though it had been cooking for a while, it was right there, right before when she came in. And I started marketing and pushing the fetish stuff. It coincided with the massive explosion of 50 Shades of Grey. And because I was the only one out here in El Paso, at least, that was open about what I was shooting and what I was doing, and I was like, this is what I'm doing, and this is on Facebook, and yada, yada, yada. And everybody was like, they're going to take that down. I started getting bombarded by questions. And those questions were, how can I learn this? Because my husband and I were trying to do some of the stuff in that book, and we got hurt. I got hurt. For me, 50 Shades of Grey was a double-edged sword. A horror and a dream come true. Why a horror? Because there's so many things in that book that are just terrible. They don't really portray the BDSM lifestyle in a great light. There's a lot of abuse in there. They got some stuff right. I'm not going to completely say, no, they didn't know anything. But by the same token, it made BDSM a household name. It brought it out of the dark corners. It brought it out so that everyone wanted to read those books. Everyone wanted to see those movies. Everyone wanted a red room. There were so many men out here that were now, I'm the Mr. Grey of El Paso. And everyone wanted to be a part of this new thing that was 50 Shades of Grey. And so they needed, where can I get the information? Where can I be educated? And so I was like, okay, no one else is stepping up to the plate. I'm afraid, having been in my community that I was trained in Houston, and how loving and safe that was, I felt an innate fear for my people, for my community out here, for those that were just coming in, that they were going to get hurt in a really, really bad way unless someone offered them some kind of education. And I started then training others so that they can also be community leaders and educators. They're already coming to me? Sure. Let me talk to people I know. Let me bring in artists that I know to create these items for the shop. Let me put together events. Let me do this. Let me try that. Okay, we don't have a space. Let me try to create one here. It was all an accident. I never meant for this to happen. But the community came out. They stuck through it. They saw my vision. They believed in what I was doing. They saw that I was actually doing things. And they were like, you know what? How can I help? Or where can I find, the real collars? Because the stuff at the adult stores is really chintzy and cheap. Where can we meet people like us? And so little by little, I started just like, okay, hold on, let me see what I can do. And so where can I learn this stuff? It's like, well, I'm trained, so let me see if I can find people that know and who want to be able to teach and share with the community. And I did. And so we started offering workshops. I'm an introvert, so I don't like being in front of cameras. I like being behind the camera. And so I don't like being on stage. I'll do that if I have to, but I'd rather let somebody else take the spotlight. So I was trying to find other community members here that were part of the community already, the kink community, to be able to teach and impart some of their knowledge. They would bring others, and they would start getting educated, and they would start lending their time and their space and their energies and you know, tributing or donating to the dungeon. And so it became a community effort so that I didn't have to carry the entire weight. And to this day, this entire place, Dungeon El Paso, this community that we have built here is community led. I'm not rolling in money at all. I can't say, oh, well, you know, sex sells and everybody's, and you know, it's just like the you're going to make millions. No, you know, there are months that we can't pay half the bills here, and it comes out of pocket. Funding.
What? How? Like, because so
this relates back to back to my story of how we began. It all came out of pocket at the very beginning.
right.
There was no other way because there was no one wanting to support anything like this. They were too scared. So I was like, you know what? I'll put my money where my mouth is. So I'm going to pay for it. So our first 7 years was pretty much that. Most everything that you see here was, you know, I took the time, and whenever I had funds, I build this, or I have somebody come in and construct that. I pay the instructors. It wasn't a whole lot, but it was what I could afford. And because they were so willing to be able to be part of something like this, which was unusual and new in El Paso, they were like, yeah, man, you know, just give me for gas. I'm like, cool, you know, I'll do that. Whatever I had to do, I did. A lot of what I was doing for Nequium, that was just that became a side business. So most of that ended up paying for all of those little things. It just was what it was. It all came out of pocket. It wasn't until I'm going to say about year 2 or 3 that I started beta testing what pro-dom services might look like here in El Paso, or offering a safe space for people to come in here and play. I didn't open it up. I was just creating it and trying to figure out the legalities of this. So I brought on 2 lawyers, a business lawyer and a legal lawyer, again, all out of pocket, and trying to help me figure this out. But mostly because people began to see what I was doing, and that I was stepping out there, taking my own time to create this, putting my own money out there, and seeing that, you know, when I said I was going to do something, it happened. Creating an event, the first event that I created, which really was my grand opening, was November of 2013, which I decided to make it a kink event. But I hid it under the premise that it was, I called it taboo, and it was, and I brought in aerialists, and I brought in fire dancers, and belly dancers, and burlesque dancers, and a rock group that was based on erotica, and an R&B group that did a lot of erotica music as well, so that they could say, well, I'm going to a burlesque show, not a kink show. You know, they could call it whatever they want, and I had vendors too. And in the back, though, I had what we called the Kingsploration area, and that was all demos. And I had a St. Andrew's Cross out there already built, and I had, you know, a spanking area, and we had a sensory deprivation area. You know, people can go in there, they sign their waiver, and they can explore, you know, dress casually. They don't have to be kinky or not, but they can have a little light taste of what kink was. And the line to get those waiver signs was ridiculous. And that's where I saw the need, because everybody gravitated to that area so much and had so much fun in exploring something that was 50 Shades, you know, so something that was risque. But it was safe because everyone else was doing it, so I want to try it.
Does does one have to be sober to go into those spaces? I know when I learned in San Francisco, you have to be sober because you have to give consent. However, what can you also tell me about plant magic and BDSM?
Okay, well, let's go to the sober question.
Yeah.
Not all dungeons or kink spaces are built the same. Everyone is, whatever. There are kink spaces that are bars / BDSM clubs. There are some that are swingers / BDSM clubs. Actually, most of them tend to be swingers / BDSM clubs, and most of them are BYOB. So a lot of spaces tend to offer alcohol, and they just kind of let things loose. Is that the safest way to go? Absolutely not. I don't think so. Our space does not allow for anyone to drink alcohol or be inebriated in any way. So we don't allow drugs or alcohol to come into this premises, or someone that is drunk and high. We don't allow them to come into this space. Why? It's dangerous. You're going to have to consent to doing things that are extremely dangerous. I have to remind all of our people when they come in here that all of the implements that we use at one point or another in our history, they were used to harm another living human being. But we're kinky people. We made them sexy. But it does not take away the inherent danger of these implements. A flogger is still a flogger. A whip is still a whip. And it can hurt. So if you're not in the right frame of mind, you can't make the right decision to either be part of it as a bottom or to be sober enough to be able to concentrate, focus, and know how to strike and use that implement, right? You're going to hurt someone, and not in the good way. So for me, it is extraordinarily important that drugs and alcohol not be involved. I don't shame, I don't judge. As I tell people, it's like I love my whiskey, my wine, and my Guinness, but I won't drink before I come here. Drugs. At one point or another, I've done just about everything on this planet, but I won't do anything before I come here.
What about the after-hour social? Can we have cocktails during that here, or no? Did I misread or something?
Okay, so we have a midweek social.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
The midweek social, we have that once a month, and we do that at the living room. It's not even here.
Got it.
Yeah. Why? We do that to, one, be able to have a space where it's outside of the dungeon. We get a lot of people that fear coming in here because it's scary. It's a dungeon. As soon as I walk in, I'm going to see an orgy, and they're going to expect me to participate. Or as soon as I walk in, they're going to start hitting me with sticks, and what if I don't want to get hit? And so, well, first of all, no one's going to do that. But that is the fear. That's what everybody thinks. So we wanted to remove that stigma, that taboo, that fear. How to remove that fear? We go outside of the dungeon. So we do something that's more social, and so we get together at the living room lounge, which is a bar. And we sit there and we talk. Sometimes we just play Cards Against Humanity.
Yeah, or Dungeons and Dragons, but here.
That's a different event.
Yeah, okay.
That's a different event. But we do that over there, and sometimes we have deep. The last one we had really, really deep conversations about the community and what brings them here and what kink means to everyone. It was an incredible opportunity for new people that had never been to a dungeon, were new to kink, but were curious to hear not just from us, but from others that were also just exploring, and how they stepped into kink and remove a lot of the stigma, a lot of the taboos that they thought BDSM was in a particular dungeon. And then afterwards, we offer them a tour. And so we all come out here and we let them walk around and ask questions. And that has helped a lot of people get over the, oh my God, this is a scary place and I'm going to be as soon as I walk in. And again, we don't allow anybody to play. It's just we're opening the space so that you can see it vital.
When you see each other outside of this space, how do you navigate that? Okay, I'll give this example. It goes, okay, and you know what? I'm going to put it out there. In Berkeley was going to have a class titled Plant Magic and BDSM, and it was going to be led and I had asked them after a workshop that was only on plant medicine, oh, I'm so looking forward to your plant magic and BDSM workshop. It was some other person and me, and I noticed that their reaction was kind of like, oh, you know, so I think I fucked up in mentioning just the word BDSM to a third person who probably didn't even know about the workshop, and now I kind of just outed someone as BDSM. So, you know, I'm saying this because the plant magic and BDSM workshop never happened. I'm still waiting on it, you know, so I'm not, you know, saying that I was the cause of the workshop not happening, but
you know, sometimes accidentally you tend to out someone.
because I got excited, you know.
Right. And so we teach here, in particular when it comes to our Hellfire Club members, which is the membership club, the club within the club, really, that we don't dox people here. We don't out people. Everyone here is allowed to be able to use an alt name, and they introduce themselves as that, so that here they're Master Kane. And if you were to see me out there, and again, we have this conversation with everybody, if you see me out there, unless I have given you specific permission for you to come up to me in a mundane, vanilla situation, then we're just boats passing by, you know, that's it. And we just pretend nothing, I don't know you, none of that. It's very different for me because I put myself out there. And so wherever I go, I get recognized. That's okay. As I tend to say often, I am willing to be the sword and shield for this community. Come at me. You know, I am here, I'm putting myself out there. Come at me. You see me, come say hello. I'll be that doorway for you. You know, so that if there's others out there that you think that might be in it, don't leave them alone. Come at me. And you know, yeah, that definitely takes a little bit of my own privacy away. It's hard for me to go out and enjoy a night out because it's usually, hey, you're that guy on Instagram. You're that Rev guy, or you're that Master Dude, or whatever. It's like, yeah, that's me, and I have to put on the hat, almost literally. And then, you know, going to my that persona. But again, I put myself in that situation, so it's okay. Everyone else, we always just suggest, you see someone, don't. Unless they have given you specific permission for you to go up to them, don't. Just keep walking. You know, don't wave, just keep walking.
Just keep looking down
the whole time, pass each other and just ignore. You know, but many people are out, and they're like, yeah, man, go ahead. Yeah, come at me. It just depends on the individual. But we want to be able to respect people's privacy and anonymity as best as we can. So we offer everyone here to be able to use those alt names so that, you know, people don't know that I'm Frank, unless I want them to know that I'm Frank.
Right. I just think it's so interesting that in every single space that we occupy, all of the parts that make us us is there, but just because it's not here per se, it's not allowed to come out.
You have a lot of things on your...
Do I? I mean...
You have so many little screenshots. Yeah, what do you want to talk about?
I want to talk about it. What advice do you have for someone who wants to be so bold and open, such as yourself, but is still also adjacently trying to make it in the corporate world just because that's another tentacle that I have in... Sorry.
That's a curveball. That's a huge, that one's a loaded question.
Sorry.
Corporate America is funny, man. You know,
I don't want to fucking hide. I want to honor all aspects of the human experience. It's like, look, I know this is not the time and place for it, so I'm not going to bring it up. But I am who I am. You know what I mean? If you're going to Google me, you might find some shit. You know what I mean? And I'm just talking to nobody, really. I'm just processing all of this in my head. So thank you for talking to me again. I'm just...
No. The advice I have given to many here who have struggled with, I want to be out, I am kinky, I am this, I don't want to hide who I am, but work, but my career, but this, and family, friends, whatever it is. When it comes to work, the first thing I ask them, go and talk to HR. Seriously, ask them about their guidelines. things and let them know, hey, this is what I'm thinking about doing. This is what I am. What are my boundaries?
Oh my God, I never thought of that.
And HR is not going to go out and run and tell everyone because that's not their job. Their job is to be able to guide you through that.
And it's all they can fire me, right?
No, they can't.
That's
Absolutely
funny.
not.
Such a
Not
simple
for-
answer,
it
but-
really is. And many of them have said, well, you know what, so long as, and many corporate and or local businesses are like, so long as you're not doing it here, I don't care what you do out there. And then there are others that are like, no, we care about your entire image, here or there. So if you do that, we have to let you go. And so then you have to decide.
And that's also good to know.
You have to decide.
Hypnotherapy.
Yes.
How can that get kinky? Or like past life regression?
Ooh, I used to do a lot of past life regression, but that was for more of a spiritual practice.
Yeah, I know, but yeah. I met someone who told me that their therapist did some kind of special Valentine's Day session for him while her husband watched. And in my brain, as a therapist in training, I'm like, how can I do that without losing my license? So yeah, I don't know. What can you? Anything you can share about hypnotherapy or the space?
Yeah,
I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah, hypnotherapy is not something that I am. It's not one of my niches. As much of a jack of all trades as I am, hypnotherapy is one that I have yet to delve into, honestly. So I don't have a whole lot of information. Yes, I do know some that have done it. I know a couple of people here who are very interested in wanting to learn about it, and are starting to delve into that. But it's a whole different
arena.
Yeah, it's a whole different arena, in particular when you start bringing into counseling. And we have a good number of people here that are actually came in here because they were starting to wanting to become counselors, in school to become counselors, and wanted to understand this aspect of the lifestyle so that when they bumped into it, they could have an understanding of what it is. And then they just melded right into this life. They're like, oh, I like this.
Right.
And many of the things that they have learned from here, they're now using it in mundane, but in therapy, a lot of that is communication, honesty, trust, building trust, bonding. So many of those aspects that we use in kink here, and translating them to mundane, to mundane therapy practices. I guess it's been incredible to watch that kind of growth in people and then using them in different aspects of their lives.
The domino effect.
Yeah.
Other than being yourself, how do you normalize this?
What do you mean? How do I normalize?
I guess
How do I-
or like removing the taboo aspect, I guess, as you've been doing it, living, breathing it just by being yourself.
By trying to be as open as possible. From my experiences, many dungeons were very, low key. You had to know somebody to be able to get into the community, or you had, you had to have references to visit a dungeon, or it used to be very closed in. I've decided to be the opposite and say, oh, look, here we are. If you have questions, please give them to me.
What would you say to couples that are struggling to start their own little family but still want to be active in this space?
We have a lot of parents here, a lot of couples, a lot of moms, dads. We have everything here. And it's just, it's always like, I just need to find a babysitter.
Right.
That's usually the biggest thing. I just need to I just need a babysitter. And it's like, well, I wish I could help you there. But yeah, I mean, we can throw them in the cage, but I don't think that would be appropriate. It's difficult. I know some couples will allow one to go to an event, and then the next time they just take turns, or they'll ask grandma or grandpa to be able to take care of the kids, and they're out here for maybe 2 or 3 hours, but then they have to rush back. But they at least participate however they can. We try to offer as many things as we can, not just on the weekends, but also on weekdays. So that as soon as you come out of work, maybe the kids are are whatever doing their thing, and you can come and join us for an hour or two.
Right.
We try, and again, I try to listen to the community when they ask for something and try to create it for them. One big example of that was we have so many nerdy folk in our community apparently, and a lot of D&Ders, a lot of Dungeons and Dragon players, and so one of the biggest things I was asking that it would be great to be able to play Dungeons and Dragons in a dungeon, and it was like, okay, we can get enough interest from the community, I'll make it happen. Sure enough, we got interest from the community, and now we have D&D nights once a month here at the dungeon. And of course, it's kinky. We have a kinky aspect to it that is not just gameplay, but also that we can participate in real life.
Fun.
Yeah.
Fun on top of fun.
Top of fun. Yeah. Again, I'm here to listen to the community and try to give it as much as it can. Our Littles community, most dungeons don't accept or really embrace the caregiver Littles community. I do. I understand that even though that community doesn't necessarily think it's part of the kink community, but they don't have any other space that might be allotted to them to be safe. I have the space. Let me give you that safe.
Or the understanding.
And the understanding. So please come in. And so we've opened up to the Littles, and we do Littles parties once a month. And in fact, it was last night we had a Littles party, and we had video game night. And everybody brought their favorite console. And they set it up. We had multiple TVs going, and they had VR, and they had some of the old school Nintendo games. It was fun. And those that didn't want, they were out here coloring and doing crafts, and it was fun. I embrace them because where else are they going to have another safe space where they can meet others like themselves?
Exactly.
So I'm constantly trying to listen to our community and its needs and give that to them as best as I can. One of the things that I have tried to impart in the people as I have trained them, brought them in, or just worked with them, whatever, is don't gatekeep information, because this is a huge problem a lot of communities have gone through. Having had the opportunity when I was working in Houston, I used to work for Univision, and as a field photographer, I was sent all over the world. So I took, of course, the opportunity to go and visit as many kinky places as I could. And a lot of what I saw out there was that people were afraid to show others their skill set. Because if you became better than them, then you were going to get the attention, and you were going to get all the subbies, and then I'm not special anymore. And another thing that I saw out there was that unless you're young, female, pretty and submissive, then you don't get a ticket. Those, we're going to let them into the play parties like this because we want them. We want the young, pretty subbies, But you as a male dominant, we're going to make you work for you to get your ticket or the invite to the party. Because, again, we're afraid that you're going to start taking all the subbies, so you stay over there. And I didn't like that. When I decided that I was going to move forward in creating a space like this, I wanted to create a level playing field. I didn't care who you were, what you looked like, what color you were, what gender you identified with, I don't care. I don't care. Pay your ticket, help us pay the bills, and I'm going to teach you everything I know. Why? Because one, if I teach you and I show you that I'm teaching you, you're going to teach back. You're going to teach another community. And it's going to become a cycle of sharing. Two, I would rather teach you even if it's for free, so that you can go home and practice safely. I would rather teach you for free than you go home and hurt someone or hurt yourself. So creating an environment where all you have to do is come and pay your ticket, and we're going to teach you, created a level playing field for everyone here. There is no, you're going to have to earn your way in. No. We're going to bring you in, and we're going to show you not the right way how to do BDSM or kink, because there's no right way. Everyone has their own way, their organic feel, everyone takes whatever. But I'm going to try to teach you a safer way. That's my goal. Because that's what I saw, the damage that 50 Shades of Grey did. So I'm trying to fight that. This past 10 years has been me trying to fight all the bad shit 50 Shades of Grey put out.
Doing the damage done.
Yeah. I'm doing damage control for that book. Ultimately, that's what it boils down to.
I'm just amazed with what you created. I mean,
I have no idea how it all. It's been a blink of an eye, and it's been some heart-wrenching moments and some beautiful ones. And those beautiful moments are what keep me going. Been some tough lessons. Some really, really tough lessons.
you want to share one?
Humans are strange creatures. They amaze me and sometimes they disappoint me, but I try to, I'm an optimist, man. I try to see the glass half full all the time. I try to look for that silver lining and make a better of bad situations, take what I've learned from failures and make them into lessons that I can then take and move forward and make sure that they don't happen again.
Right.
You know, and especially in a space like this, people trigger often. It just happens. When we do trainings, I always warn people that when you're going to one of our training programs, in particular what we call the AOS or the Apprenticeship of Submission, to become a dominant, that this is where you're going to face all your ghosts, all your demons are going to come out. And if you're not ready to face yourself, don't start, don't do it. Don't do it, because it's just going to mess you up even more. If you're ready to face your demons head on, and you push through it, and allow me to support you, to be your guide and your mentor, you're going to come out a completely different person at the end of this training. You won't even recognize the person you are. And those that have finished that program are not the same in an extraordinarily positive way. Because that's what it did for me. My training was the same. It was a little bit more old school and took a little bit longer. So, but yeah, it taught me humility. It taught me compassion. It taught me so many things that I now apply just on everyday life. You know, it bleeds into the mundane, to the vanilla. And it's incredible how much that helps you to try to really understand people and how to navigate and how to just talk to them. Listen. Listen first before you talk. Because that is so important, particularly for dominant. It's not about you do this. It's really about let's connect here and here. Tell me so that I can listen to you. And I know how to then guide and manage, or not, rather guide and mentor you. It's so, people don't understand how heady it is. It's more here and here than it's about sticks and you know, whips and chains. It's such a huge, so yeah. People don't know that.
They don't. I think people get lost in the perverse aspect of it sometimes.
They get lost in the sexy stuff. Oh, I want the sexy. Well, that's hot.
It's deeper, you know. I mean, yeah, it is all of
Yeah,
that. You know,
sure,
it's all of that.
absolutely.
But
that's like to what BDSM really is.
Exactly.
It's an iceberg. You know, to get to that, and when you get to that, this entire iceberg down here, when you get to that, it makes those experiences so much better and more meaningful.
Right.
You know, it's explosive, but because you have all this down here. And until you learn that, and a lot of people don't have the patience for it. You know, I get so many messages. Oh, can you tie me up? Oh, I want you to do wax on me. Oh, I want you to manhandle me like that. It's like, okay, cool, sure. Come in. Let me ask you some questions. And then I start going through the questions and trying to get to know them, yada yada. And they get bored. It's not sexy. You know, talking about medical issues or traumas or you know, do you journal and what are you? They don't care. They don't want to. They want just the sexy stuff.
People
And
just want that.
yeah, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't. I'm not going to, because there is a chance, a possibility that I could damage you, and I don't want that on my my soul. That's not why I'm here. My job is to leave a bottom, a submissive, a slave, in a better position in life than when I first started. That is my goal. And if I can't do that, I don't want to. So it's a different world. And people are not patient. They want the now, especially with these new generations that have come in. They're so used to getting everything now. I want food, Uber, done. It's here. BDSM can't do that, not lifestyle, because there's so much groundwork that needs to be done in order to create that explosive.
The Rome wasn't built in a day.
That's correct. That is correct. You want that intense explosive that you see me posting on Instagram with my performance bunny or my other, play partners or whatever it is that they're here. That's because I've gotten the time. I've taken the time. They've taken the time for us to be able to communicate, talk, know each other, explore.
You mentioned your mom and how you admired the powerfulness, right, in her. I think this is from one of your stuff on Instagram.
Okay.
Which one is your first memory? Is this you, right? I think.
Maybe, sure. Oh yeah, okay, that's from my Instagram. Huh?
Yeah, I don't know.
Highlights, I believe.
Yes, like I said, I'm so curious, and I'm going to ask about all this. But so, fear, anger, hate. My first memory is watching my mom being violently trashed by my biological father, and knowing I was helpless to stop it.
Yeah.
Wow. I have my own physical trauma, okay? And part of my interest in the kink space is I know there's a lot of healing that can be done, okay, in those spaces. So I honor that, I recognize that, and it's so interesting to me how we can actually work out some real shit in those play spaces. Or, yeah, I mean, I'll just...
People have no idea how deep BDSM really is. The lifestyle, not bedroom kink.
Yes.
The lifestyle itself. There is so much healing, not because it was created for that simple purpose, just by accident, really.
Yes.
It just happens that here is a space that allows you to help you rewire a lot of bad traumas, PTSDs, into something that's more positive, because you now have the control. You now have the ability to say, red, stop. And if you're playing with someone that is dedicated to the lifestyle, they're going to stop. One word in BDSM will stop anything. Violence, domestic violence, doesn't matter how many times you say stop, it's not going to. That's the difference between abuse and kink. And that's where that power comes from, because you now have that control. You can choose what you get yourself into.
What if I get too emotional? What if I'm just like in agony all of a sudden, and I'm just like,
yeah, people trigger. Yeah, it happens.
I know,
yeah.
but like I don't want to. And see, this is me caretaking the other person still. Like I don't want my emotions to be too much for my play person or whatever. Like I don't know.
Well, we always have the discussions prior to you having the triggers.
Right.
Just like a multitude of questions that we ask each other before we get into play, and one of them is, what are your triggers? Physical, emotional, mental, what are they, so that we can stay away from those?
Or not even the trigger, it's just like, what if the experience is so powerful? Like, wow, I was able to say no. And I just get overtaken by the experience, and I'm just like,
In our community, there have been times when someone has triggered from a memory that had been hidden deep, and for whatever reason, it just surfaced right there and then in the middle of the session. And they called red. And the only thing we were able to do was get them out of that space, get them to, and at that point, it was so intense, it was just trying to get them to come out of that shock, helping them breathe, remind them to breathe. It's okay, you're safe. Yeah, it's okay, you're safe here. Don't worry, we're here for you. And just when he was ready, as a community, we just hugged the living shit out of him. When he was okay to be touched and he needed that comfort, many of us just went and just hugged him and held him until he was able to let it all out and know and understand that here he was safe. It was one of the most beautiful things I've seen in this dungeon, in this community, because you saw that care and that love from everyone. It didn't matter whether he knew them or not, they were here. Of course, you can't do that with everybody. Everybody has a different way of dealing with it, so we just have to monitor and see and ask and never assume, and then trying to guide them out of that, out of that trauma, and then take them into aftercare and allow them to come down. Each one is an individual experience. You can't say, well, you take step 1, step 2, step 3. No, it's just, you just have to know the bottom and try to navigate things organically with them. This is why it's so important for bottom and top to have that one, that trust, and for the top in particular, the dominant, to be able to know the submissive, to be able to know the bottom, and know what it is that their needs are going to be between session, if they trigger or aftercare, whatever it is, so we know how to manage them, how to take care of them, how to bring them out of that traumas or triggers. But yeah, there's no book on this is how you do it. You just have to. You did mention that you had something about, and I would love to be able to talk about it if you still have the time. You had mentioned that there was someone that had posted some kind of negative something or other about the dungeon space.
I don't know if it was negative, and I know I have the screenshot somewhere in my external hard drive. I just didn't give myself the time, blah, blah, blah. But I do remember her just saying something about her experience and something along the lines of misconduct. Like I said, I'll find them and I can share them with you and we can talk about it, but I don't have any more specifics than that. Okay. And I looked through this one album that I had and I didn't find any of them through the screenshots. All the screenshots I found were just those. So
we have a lot of safeguards that we have here at the dungeon that we've put into place. One of the first steps that I took in creating Dungeon El Paso was not to just be the owner and only be the only voice for this space, for this community. I didn't want this to be a monarchy. I didn't want this to be a monarchy. I wanted to be able to create a space where everyone was going to be held accountable for their actions, including the owner, because unfortunately some of the things that I had seen in many other spaces as I traveled around was that the owner tended to be the one that created the most or had the most consent violations, because while they were the owner, they could do whatever they wanted. Right?
Power trips too, the dynamics, I imagine, abuse of power.
Right, and so that's why I created a crew, a staff that were part of this, so that we could hold each other accountable. And despite the fact that I was the owner, people can say, "Hey, man, we need to have a serious conversation, and we need to straighten this out, or leave the community, whatever it is." What's more important for me is for the safety of this community. And so, aside from creating the crew, we do have a security team that is here, is dedicated to de-escalate situations. They'll meet you at the door. They'll make sure that you're not carrying any kind of firearms. They will walk our people to cars and back, and we need to have an escort. They're here to do security stuff, make sure that everybody stays safe. And, they're not here to force or to be bouncers. They're not here to be that. They're just here to protect a little bit to provide a little bit of protection. Aside from that, we also have the consent response team, which is our CRTs. Our CRTs are here specifically to take any kind of consent violation reports. Anyone that does or has a consent violation, that can be reported. We have a QR code in the bathroom with different consents. You might have seen them up there with a consent policy as well. That'll lead you to a form. You fill that out. It goes to the consent team. They are not part of the staff. Only one of them is part of the staff, and they are the liaison between the CRT and the Dungeon El Paso crew. And they do their own internal investigation. If I am not part of that consent violation, then it comes to me, and then we figure out what needs to happen to the person that did the violation. And if that includes calling law enforcement, we do call law enforcement.
Has that ever been a time that we've had to?
Thankfully not. Because again, some of the things that we do in being able to make sure that everybody plays safe is part of what the Hellfire Club membership is. When you become part of the member, when you become a member of the Hellfire Club, you have a vetting process. That vetting process is a 2-hour process. You sit here with me, I give you the history of what Dungeon El Paso is, so that you understand how serious and why we so seriously take our rules. I go through the rules one by one, and then after that, you get to sign a whole bunch of legal paperwork that my lawyers created.
It's the club within the club, right?
It's the club within the club, and within that you have liability forms, you have consent forms, you have an application form, and you will give me your personal information. I ask for your ID and your credit card. I make a scan of that, and that goes on file. So that if you ever do make violate someone's consent in a terrible way that needs to be called, or law enforcement needs to be called, I can make a copy of that and hand that over to law enforcement, and they'll find you like this. Because of the little things like that, people play nice. And people that are wanting to come in here to do malicious things or have some kind of predatory agenda.
It's so scary to me, but yeah.
They know, well, as soon as they understand what the vetting process is, they won't even come in for it. Because, oh, I don't want you to have my private information. Why? So they'll pay for the membership, and then they learn what it is, and they're like, oh, never mind. And then they never show up. They weed themselves out pretty well here. So the consent response team is here. And again, if I am involved in any of that, then it jumps over me and it goes directly to the crew, and the crew can then hold me accountable for my actions. So again, I'm not above the law myself. And on top of that, you know, when we do have scene play events, which are our kink nights, green nights, open dungeon nights, kiki yoga, and of course our other Hellfire Club events, we have dungeon monitors. We'll have, you know, our CRT wears this little badge so that you know who they are if you want to go up and talk
I actually
to them.
like that CRT.
And the DMs or the dungeon monitors wear this little badge, so that you know who is there. And their job is not to play. Their job is literally just to watch and make sure that safe space is being held.
You said something on one of these that you view relationships as all kind of the same. You don't distinguish between romantic,
Yeah.
right?
So I'm polyamorous.
Right.
Within polyamory, there are different subsets. One of those subsets is relationship anarchy, which is what I feel, what I practice, and that is non-labeling. So my friendship with you is platonic. My partner, who I've been with for however many years, is intimate and whatnot. But doesn't mean that my love for you is any less from my love for them.
Right.
For me, love is love. If I have taken the time to get to know you, hang out with you, we share, this, we share that, whatever it is, why is love different? It's not for me.
Or what's the need to just contain it with just us two?
Right.
There's all these humans to connect with too.
Right.
And I'm not saying it as like, oh, I want to go fuck the whole world. No, but it's just like this, man.
Yeah.
Or just like I'm getting a coffee and oh my god, I just met someone interesting and I just spent 2 hours here talking to them.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
It's human experience that we crave.
Possession.
That,
I don't know. I mean,
labeling is really is the monogamous toxicity, right? It's you're mine. We're not going out, we're boyfriend and girlfriend, so you are mine. And I cannot understand for the life of me that concept. It's like, no, I am me. I am my own.
to me.
No one owns me. I choose to share myself with you. I'm choosing to share myself with you. You can either accept that sharing or not, but I don't belong to you. I belong to you. And so I tend to see the world that way, and I don't want to possess anyone. Thus, I don't like labels.
Or maybe the jealousy that arises is the feelings of lack that come up.
Insecurity is a big part of why most people can't do poly, and it's because it doesn't. Even poly people get jealous.
I'm saying it. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, I can do it, but I mean, yeah,
it's okay. It's an
I have
emotion. We're
jealousy
fine.
issues to
Cool.
work through.
But the thing is that we try to work through it. We try to have the conversations. We try to be honest. We try to communicate.
Go to the edge.
Yeah.
You know.
Hey, this is what's making me feel insecure, and this is why I reacted that way. Can we not do that so that I don't feel the insecurities? Sure. You know what? I heard you. I listened to you. Let's fix that issue. So it can be worked out. It's just being brave enough to be able to have those kind of honest and forward conversations. This is what I hear a lot. I've been trying to spend some more time recently to hang out with my non-kinky friends. And of course, a lot of my non-kinky friends tend to be monogamous as well. So I'm sitting there, we're having drinks, and I'm hearing them talk about their life experiences with boyfriends and girlfriends, whatever it is. And the conversation is like, well, he makes me feel this way and whatever, and when he does this, yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, well, why don't you just tell him that that's how you feel? I could never. That would hurt his feelings. Or that would start an argument, and it's like, I can't even understand that. If someone feels that when they come to me, then I'm here to listen. I'm not going to create an issue. We're adults. We're not children. Let's talk this out. It doesn't mean it always works.
Right.
I'm a Taurus.
Human.
I'm a Taurus too, and that makes me slightly stubborn sometimes. And so it might take me a little bit to get through it and understand and comprehend, process the situation, but I'll get there. Just I'm a little slow moving sometimes, but I will get there. I move forward. I'm not trying to stand there, and I'm not the unmovable object. I'm constantly trying to move forward. People out there can't have those simple conversations, and what that ends up creating is that cycle of resentment and insecurities and da 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 da. It just goes on, and it creates this toxic, monogamous. I must own. If I don't own you, you can't see another woman or find her attractive because that means you don't love me. It's like, what?
My mom always said, la vista es muy natural. La vista es muy natural.
Yeah, we have animalistic primal needs too, and yeah, sometimes we're going to fall victim to those. It certainly doesn't mean that we have to act on them, but the instinct to look or the instinct to say, "How you doing?" Sometimes it's there. It might get the best of us, and in monogamy, obviously, that's a big no-no. Within polyamory, it's please explore. Please share that love. Please allow me to be part of you sharing love. And in return, just give me love back. Be open, be honest, and let's communicate. I always felt that I have a lot of love to give and a lot to share with people. I'm a caregiver by nature, by heart. So I'm constantly looking. You need something, you need this, you need that. That's why I'm a service top. Because within BDSM, my goal, I get my kicks by allowing my bottom or by pleasing my bottom, giving them what they need and want. That stress release, that intimacy, that one-on-one, whatever it is. This is where I find my peace in when they smile, when they're so exhausted from a scene and they, all their anxiety is out and they're not thinking about anything else but that happy space. That makes me smile. That feeds me. Like I give someone a little bit of peace. And that's what I carry out there. Whether it's the mundane or in poly or even within spiritualism, and of course within kink, I want to share, and that shows itself in creating community. That shows itself in educating whoever wants to be educating and opening my doors. You want to stay an extra hour? I know it's closing, but you don't want to go home. You want to keep time? Keep going, bro. Keep going. You exhaust yourself or whatever it is. I want to continue to give to my community as many people as I can. and love them in that way, in as many ways as I can. Something goes wrong, we call them.
Lawyers. I have a gift.
Ah,
That's right.
you did talk about,
Earlier.
yeah.
It might not work too well. Look, I worked at a thrift store for 5 years. I got the best kinds of things. You guys, there's a lawyer station back there. I mean,
That is,
there you go. It's my
that
donation
is-
to the
wow.
space. Maybe you could put help. I don't know.
Yeah,
You know.
so funny. We just like 2 days ago had a conversation. Someone had a dream. One of our crew members had a dream that I had created a perch up there specifically so that they could watch.
I can see.
And yeah, and I told them, "Oh, you mean we'll just need to get them opera glasses or not?"
There you go. Just try it out.
Thank you. Thank you so
Yes. May they get real good use.
I will let the voyeurs know that this is available to them. But our dungeon monitors, one of them might have to, we might have that. But we'll have a dungeon monitor at every station. And their job is just to make sure that everybody's following the rules, not monkeying around, having safe space, and allowing people to drop and have their privacy. It's okay to watch, just don't interrupt.
Right.
And so we make sure that we give them that safe space.
Yeah.
So there's multiple different things that we ask the community, including our own Hellfire Club members. I give them a little bit of responsibility. You have a little bit of responsibility coming in as a Hellfire Club member, and that is to make sure that our fellow community members also follow the rules. So do you see something that shouldn't be done? Don't be the bad guy and try to stop it. Come to me, I'll be the bad guy so that I can stop it. That makes every single one of us eyes on each other, and it keeps everyone accountable. And because of that, in particular when it comes to our Hellfire Club members, we have that safe space, and people are friends here, and we have kinky family that that extends from that. And we have dinners, and we go out as as a group, and because it just creates that kind of environment. People bring in brownies and cookies and veggie trays. And,
Community.
yeah, people come in and share, or they'll come in with a case of water, and here, man, this is for the dungeon.
Right.
Or snacks, whatever it is. Here's an extra $20. Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you for helping us keep the lights on. Hey, I heard that you guys are moving. I have a truck. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Don't worry about gas. I got you. Thank you. You guys are painting? Let me know. Call me so I'll lend a hand. Community. There's blood, sweat, and tears here. Not just mine, but community. And that's what makes it special. And that's what keeps us safe. So, there's a lot of things that go on out there. A lot of people, not everyone's going to have a great experience here. There's a lot of things that have, been said. I've been told that I'm a cult leader.
Cult leader?
Yeah, and we are a cult. We must be the most democratic cult. I'm failing as a cult leader because I put it up to my crew. I don't make decisions, the big decisions, by myself. I put it up. It's like, hey, this is an opportunity. Should we take it? Should we not? Let's discuss. How should we go about this? Let's discuss. Let's share ideas. I don't put it on me and just say, this is what we're going to do because
Rev Master Kane, bringing magic into the mundane. I'm serious. I feel so inspired by you because in a lot of ways I'm trying to do similar things in different ways, to the community, but it's all connected. So just thank you for your time.
No, thank you for allowing me just word vomit, really, is what it was.
I love word vomiting, and I would love to do this again.
Absolutely.
Okay, I want to be more involved with El Paso. I want to come back. I've been gone for 7 years, and I'm not done over there yet, but yeah. The
community is here. We've been at it for 10 years now. Good, bad, and ugly, but we're still here, and we're constantly working to get better.
What can I do? Other than just bring my weird little self over.
Please do.
You
Yeah,
know,
that you have no idea how much that really means to us and how much that helps us here. Just you coming and being present is so much more. There's a lot of value that some people put in wanting to become part of the crew, wanting to become part of the Dungeon El Paso staff. And I have to remind them that you are more valuable as a Hellfire Club member than you are as staff. There's so much more you can do than we can as staff. Please come, show up, teach others, be part of the community, share what you know, learn from others, and rinse and repeat.
Is there anything you want to plug or share before?
Wow. Yeah. Fight fear. Fight fear. Explore who you are. Doesn't matter whether it's kink. It doesn't have to be kink, but whatever you're into, whatever you want to explore, fight that fear. Get out there and do it for yourself. Don't get held back. If something is holding you back, or someone is holding you back from being yourself, get rid of it and jump in, because that is the only way you're going to find yourself. That's how I found myself. That's how I found kink. And that's how I created, with the community's help, this. That's why we have community. Because I did not allow fear or anyone that did not want to travel along with me to stop me. Do you. Do you. You only got one life to live. Live it.
And may fear not deter me.
100%.
Thank you, Master Kane, for your time.
Thank you.
Can we hug?
Absolutely. We have a lot of huggers here.
Oh my God, you're
I just
Thank you.
oh, thank you so much. I really, really enjoyed this. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you so much.
Me
too. I mean, thank you. This is like a great get to know you. Thank you. This has been the very first An Open Conversation with LMP, aliens, Balians, kings, queens, and all you in-betweens. I will see you on the next one. Bye.
Psych! I really like to end my videos with Oracle, so welcome to the collective Oracle reading. Thank you for being here if you're still here, oh my God. And let's see what the message for the collective is. It's the Cosmic Guidance Oracle by Annie Tarasova, and I get it at tarotstack.com. Link is below in the description. I'm feeling this one. Gratitude. Appreciate present blessings. That is the card. I don't know if you can see it. And it reads as follows. The quote by Rumi says, "Wear gratitude like a cloak, and it will feed every corner of your life." And then the meaning of the card, it says, life is an absolutely magnificent thing, and you are breathing, you are reading, you are seeing, you are feeling, you can move, you can taste, you can touch, you are loved and cared for, you are alive. So alive. Rockets. Love and rockets, so alive. You're alive. You are spinning on a blue ball in infinite space. Meanwhile, planets are colliding and new stars are being born. Forget space. Our planet is so incredibly abundant. Think about how many different animals there are. There are approximately 20,000 different species of a butterfly in the world. Colorful crystals are growing in the depths of our Mother Earth. Waterfalls are streaming down tall mountains, and forest floors are covered in flowers. There is so much to be grateful for. Even the smallest things deserve our gratitude. The smallest things are, after all, not so small. Considering this world is utterly miraculous. And their suggested exercises: go for a walk in nature, notice and appreciate every little thing, tell someone how much you appreciate them, and write a list of at least 10 things you are grateful for right now. Ending with your affirmation: my heart is overflowing with gratitude and appreciation, and I live in a state of gratitude. Ooh! Gracias, Diosito Santo, mis arcángeles hermosos, and thank you. And please like and subscribe and comment a little emoji that resonates with you or whatever you want, because it helps me with the algorithm, gods. It helps me get out there so I can continue to channel my wisdom through my lived experiences in this meat suit as your favorite thought-provoking alien, the Violet Flame Outcast. I'll see you at the next one. Bye. The next one's going to be good. I'm going to be talking about musicians and how they abuse their power play dynamic.